Hi folks, welcome back. It's time to start our painting on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the other wren right there. And what I mixed up with some burnt umber and some white as a base coat. And I put some water with it. This is our acrylic paint, folks. It's nothing fancy. We're going to start putting on the first coat. So what we're going to do is this bottom area up, the bottom portion, and up past about halfway up his head up here. So let's just get going on that and put our first coat. Now it's not going to look like much when we first start this, remember. If you remember the cardinal, it looked like we were getting nowhere. This is called a wash, and the reason for that is all the time that you spent putting all of those lines on the bird. You don't want to cover up too much there. And in fact, what we're going to do, I'm just going to do the whole bird simply because it needs a base coat anyway. So we're going to just start building color upon color. It's not a very difficult project it's not a real colorful bird, I understand that. And some people might be disappointed with that, but the wrens are very, very cute. They're very popular for the most part. And we can make it just a tad darker too. And we'll go over this whole thing a little darker for the top here, because that's going to be darker anyway. Alright, and this is going to be soaked up a couple of times. And what you want to do to speed up the process, I'm going to have a hairdryer here soaked up. I don't have it right here right now, but I'm just showing you the first process of getting this thing started to paint. You can seal it if you'd like. That's entirely up to you. I've never sealed any of my carvings before I start carving them. I just find that just go ahead and start painting them. And the bill's going to be like a very dark burnt umber. So we're going to just keep going here, mix some more of this up. If you really want to be fancy with it, you can get a little jar and mix some of this up so it's always the same consistency. I mix it as I go. That's just the way I do things. You're welcome to do that if you're more comfortable with that idea to do that. So we're just going to keep putting this on him. And what you want to do is you may want to do like 4 or 5 coats of this white and burnt umber, especially on the breast area and up, the head. We'll blend the other coats in later on. In fact, this is going to be your base coat really for the whole bird. See how it's starting to cover? Alright. And then we have a little bit of black that we need, so you'll need a black paint as well. And we're going to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 4 or 5 coats of this offline and use a hairdryer. When you use the hairdryer, just make sure that you don't make it real hot when you do this. Kind of just take your time with it and blow it dry, but don't use a real high heat on that. I don't think it's good for the wood. It might speed things up a little bit. Put it on a low heat and then go right over that eye. It's fine. Now that's our first coat, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start mixing my next batch here. And always have a thing of water next to you. These plates are styrofoam. They're great. They're not like paper plates, but make sure you have a white styrofoam. I don't know if they come in other colors. I don't think so. Come to think of it. So all you want to do is keep mixing this stuff so you can go ahead and put another coat on. And you can put another coat wet over wet too if you want. And then go back, re-dry it with a hairdryer. Okay, so this is going to be our base coat again. And what you're going to do too is just take your time with drying it, like I said, and then put another 4, maybe 3 or 4 coats until you see no more lines, the dark lines. In a way, it's okay. You see some of that with this bird. I don't think it's a big issue, but this is just the way I, Arlene Zomer, make these, paint these things. But we're going to come back in a little while and just keep putting the same coat on, and then we'll put the darker stuff on a little bit later. We'll darken this up. And the nice thing I want to explain to you, sometimes they make colors blend in. See this here? This is kind of blending from one color to the other. And a lot of times it's wet on wet. So what I mean is, what they'll do is they'll take a line, a thing of water, just like I did there. See how that's all blending in really quickly? I'm going to keep going here with this color. What happens is when you put a wet line, clear water, say these two areas you want to make a different color, but you want the color to blend. What they do is take a small brush and put a little bit of water line, and then they'll brush the one color to that water line, and then up from the other side, and it will blend in together. So they do a lot of that with doing the birds. It's a wet on wet, it's called. I think that's what they called it years ago. But that's how they get those things to blend in the way that they do, from transition from one color to the next. So we're going to do some of that possibly later on. Okay, so I'll be back. I'm going to try to get this to basically this color that you see. We're going to do what we can to match that. And see, we're going to need some of the black for the back of the tail and for the wings, and we're going to need a darker burnt umber and it to blend in the face. So we'll come back. Okay, folks?